From what to pack, to the best seat on each ride, to how to find the least crowded bathrooms, we have got things that we have learned from going to Disney World almost every day. And we're going to share it all with you here on DFB Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog, and believe it or not, we have a great team here at DFB who are in the parks, in the Disney World and Disneyland theme parks almost every single day throughout the year. And so we put our heads together and figured out a bunch of tips we wanted to share with you, things that we have learned by going into those parks every day that's really important for you to take in with you when you go with your families. So we're going to start today with time management. Now, you know time is money in Disney World, and you have to be real careful with how you plan and strategize and get efficiencies out of your vacation because you're only there for a short time and there's so much to do. So here are a few time management tips that we have learned going into the parks every day. Arriving early for rope drop can make a huge difference, but the time of day you plan on eating or what time you pick your FastPass can mean zero waits or dealing with huge crowds. So certain times of day, FastPass lines can still be a bit long, especially the afternoon hours. Although FastPass during that time is going to definitely be a better bet than standby lines. Schedule your FastPass so you're not running back and forth across the park all day. Try to tour in one direction around the park. And don't forget that riding during shows and fireworks is a great way to take advantage of short lines and get more rides out of your day. You also don't have to snag a spot for the fireworks super early if you don't mind missing them. So plan ahead and make the best use of the time you have in the park during the day based on your research and planning. All right, now some rides just aren't worth the wait. We'll basically jump in any line if it's 5 minutes, but some rides just aren't worth waiting a really long time to ride. For example, if there's a lengthy wait at Dumbo in Magic Kingdom, skip it that day and ride a similar ride like Triceratops Spin or Aladdin's Magic Carpets when the line is shorter. And there are some rides that are totally worth waiting a long time for, but you don't really have to. There are some rides that get long lines at some points during the day, but you can often hop on with little to no wait, like Spaceship Earth at other times of the day. We love that ride, but if the line is hitting close to an hour, we'll wait until it's shorter, and it will be shorter. Usually with something like Spaceship Earth at the front of Epcot, that's going to be a longer line at the beginning of the day because it's the first ride people come to. So keep an eye on those wait times in your My Disney Experience app. When they start to go down, head over to those rides. Now, if you really don't want to wait in line and you definitely want that FastPass, keep checking for that last-minute FastPass. If you weren't able to book it at 60 or 30 days, I promise you last-minute FastPasses do come up. And with the ability to change plans so easily in My Disney Experience, people are literally always changing their plans, which means you might be able to grab a FastPass or a hard-to-get dining reservation right up until the moment you need it. And we definitely refresh that FP screen multiple times a day just to check if anything opens up for Slinky Dog Dash or Flight of Passage, and you can do the same. So self-care, this one is super important for us as we are in the parks all the time, out there in the super hot sun, in the pouring rain, sometimes in the cold, in the wind, and all of those elements. Number one, stay hydrated. Stay hydrated, especially if you're there in the summer or when it's really, really hot. The free water is available at all of those counter service locations, but note that sometimes it can taste a little funky. One of our team members actually brings water flavoring with her in her backpack so that she can just put that into that free water when she gets it at the counter service locations. Also, sunscreen. Make sure you have a good sunscreen that works well with your skin and that you've tested out a few times. Even when it's cloudy in Disney World, you can still get a sunburn. So definitely find sunscreen that works for you and your family. And this one is a little weird, but we've all experienced it and we want to talk to you about it. Chafing. When you are in Orlando, when it's hot and you're sweaty, there is an awesome product. These are anti-chafing sticks that are made for runners to use when they're running in races like marathons, triathlons, etc. Well, going through around Disney World for a full day is basically a marathon, and when you're sweating and things are rubbing together, sometimes you need an anti-chafing stick. So go ahead and look into those. I guarantee it'll change your world. Okay, always ask about discounts. There are so many affinity group discounts and so many merchandise and dining locations, it's hard to keep track of where you can use your discounts and where you can't. So if you're an annual pass holder or a Disney Vacation Club member, a Florida resident, a cast member, a Disney Visa card holder, be sure to ask if you can use your discount pretty much anytime you're paying for something. And check out what discount you can get ahead of time. Even check out loyalty programs at restaurant groups like Patina Group and Landry's, as well as Earl of Sandwich and even Sprinkles at Disney Springs. Make use of all the discounts that you can. And remember, sometimes Disney actually offers discounts on merchandise if you eat at counter service locations during an off time. So if you go to a counter service location, say at 2:30 or 3 p.m., you may actually have a merchandise discount printed out on your receipt as an incentive for people to eat there at those off times. So be sure to check that as well. Next thing we learned going to Disney World every day, if you really want something, don't wait. If you see it and you really want it, buy it. It may not always be there or at another location if you change parks. Now you can use the Shop Parks app to shop for items, see which stores you can find them in, and even get things shipped home. But not everything shows up on the app. And Disney is great about returns and exchanges, so don't worry about being stuck with something you've changed your mind about. You can return or exchange a Disney item at any Disney location. So if you see it and you want it, go ahead and buy it. Next thing we've learned, being nice can give you extra pixie dust. We talk about this a lot on the channel. Cast members aren't running around with extra fast passes for everyone who smiles at them, but in Disney World, good things happen to good people. If something does go wrong and you need to complain, no matter how frustrated you are, remember that cast members really want you to have the best time. So be nice and you might get some niceness in return. Plus, it's just the right thing to do. And going along with this, the next thing that we have realized by going to Disney World every day is that people can be jerks. Unfortunately, some people at Disney World don't follow the same line of thinking as the be nice to everybody thing we've talked about before. So you're gonna run into some terrible people who just don't know how to behave in public or just can't handle all the Disney. There's not much you can do to combat other people's attitudes, so just try not to let it bother you and stay positive. Be nice to that cast member that they were mean to. Maybe some of that niceness will rub off on everyone else. All right, going to Disney World every day, we definitely know the best seat on every ride. We've ridden all the rides, we've ridden in all the different seats, and some seats are way better than others and can give you a totally different experience on the same ride. For example, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, the front row, you kind of creep down the drops really slowly, but in the back, you're getting pulled, so it's faster and much more bumpy. In dark rides, you'll get a much better view of the action if you're in the front, and the front seats of water rides with drops tend to get a bit more wet than those in the back. Something else we've learned going to Disney World every day is patience. Yep, those lines are long. Lines are an inevitable part of a Disney vacation and a Disney trip. There's no way to avoid them, but there are ways to mitigate them, like mobile order and FastPass, of course, along with those pay-to-play options like after hours and early morning magic. But the bottom line is you're going to be in crowds and you're going to have to wait for some things, especially if you're using Disney transportation. Disney transportation runs pretty on time and frequently, but you're definitely going to be waiting for a bus at least once on your trip, most likely. So bring a book for yourself and some sort of distraction for your kids to make use of the time in the lines. Read up on games to play like I Spy for little ones, look for hidden Mickeys, or sync up the Disney Parks Play app to play games together. Now, I love that we've learned this, where the nicest bathrooms are and where the least crowded bathrooms are. We've done 2 videos about these for you guys, our 2 bathroom videos where we talk about the least crowded bathrooms and the most Imagineered or themed bathrooms, so definitely go check those out. And it's true that there are some bathrooms that are just nicer in Disney World than others, either because they're lesser used, they're in more remote locations, or they just look nicer. For example, one of our favorites, the bathrooms in the American Adventure in Epcot, over to the right of the pavilion, if you're looking directly at the pavilion, are huge and they're always so clean. Plus, there's usually some seats in the shade next to them. Speaking of seats in the shade, we've learned where to take a break in every park. Sometimes you need a minute to relax and you don't feel like heading all the way back to the resort. That's cool. There's some great secluded spots to get out of the crowds, like the galleries in Epcot, or you can take a ride on the Liberty Square riverboat if you want to actually be doing something. The Nomad Lounge in Animal Kingdom is a great spot to sit down and grab a quick bite without a reservation. It's in air conditioning if you sit inside, or you can sit outside on their awesome patio. And Brown Derby Lounge is a great spot to people watch in Hollywood Studios. Something else we've learned going to Disney World every day are limits. Now, there's no tired like Disney tired, so take breaks and take care of yourself. You can't do everything in one day, but that doesn't mean we haven't tried and pushed it just a bit too far. So yeah, we know. We know we can't do rope drop to park close, only eating cupcakes and refilling our popcorn bucket. Not possible. Sit down, have a long, relaxing dinner, stay hydrated, get in the AC when you can. And this goes for food as well. When you're eating as much as we eat, especially when so much of it isn't the healthiest food around, you just end up feeling gross. So be sure to work in a few healthier meals if you can. And if you don't eat 3 huge meals per day at home, don't do it at Disney either. It's not going to work out. We've also learned to manage our expectations going to Disney World every day. Things are gonna go wrong on your trip. Your family's gonna stress you out, you're gonna run late, it's probably gonna be hot, it might rain, and suddenly this trip you've been planning for years seems like the worst idea you ever had. We've been there. Life doesn't stop because you're in Disney World, and kids can't suddenly miss their nap and be totally fine. So don't expect everything to go wrong, but be prepared to go with the flow and be okay if you don't get to every single thing that you had planned. You'll still have a great time, we promise. We have a whole great video all about what to do in Disney World when things go wrong. Hopefully that'll help you mitigate some of the circumstances and repercussions when things do go wrong, but just plan to go with the flow and you'll be fine. Something else we've learned going to Disney World every day, it is okay to break your diet every once in a while. Now, you don't want to be eating that heavy, carby food all the time, but it's definitely okay to have a cheat day every once in a while, at least in our opinion. Now, Disney World does have a lot of options for special diets, and if you're following a keto or a low-calorie diet, you'll find lots of options to keep you on track. But Mickey's not going to tell if you had a cheat day. Disney does sweets and bad food, quote-unquote, really well, so if you've been eyeing that Butterfinger cupcake, maybe go ahead and have it. That said, again, Disney food can be heavy and carb-laden, which means you'll need a nap after a big meal, so try to eat mostly like you do at home, with a few indulgences thrown in order to not feel like you've been hit like a ton of bricks, or have to lay awake all night wondering if you had food poisoning or if you just ate too much. Spoiler alert, you probably ate too much. Not that I'm speaking from experience or anything. Another thing we've learned is the fastest way to maneuver the parks. There's plenty of shortcuts in the parks, like that cut between Adventureland and Frontierland in Magic Kingdom, and you can also outsmart serious traffic patterns. Most guests headed to Magic Kingdom will go straight from Mine Train or Space Mountain, meaning fewer guests are headed left to Adventureland. So start off your day with Jungle Cruise, Tiki Room, and Pirates, and you won't be hitting any crowds until you make it back by Thunder Mountain. Finally, don't overpack. You will regret it, so just bring what you absolutely need. Unless you have a giant stroller you're already having to push around anyway, keep it simple. So there are 17 of our hard-won pieces of truth that we have figured out going into Disney World nearly every single day here on the DFB team. We love going, it's still a blast, and we're so glad that we learn every day how to do it a little bit better. So I hope that's helpful for you guys heading into Disney World. Thanks for listening, you guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like this video and click that notification bell so we can let you know when we put up a new video here on DFB Guide. This is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.